Guys, back again with another Monday Night Raw review. I gotta say, it was a really good show. Probably because I started watching WWE again around SummerSlam time last year. It's by far the best Raw of 2016, but I thought that would happen because it was the night after the Royal Rumble. But I think it's the best Raw I've seen since then. It was just really good. There was a lot more wrestling than normal. The matches were just really good. Just a really decent show in general. So to start off the show, we had the Authority. Well, we had Vince McMahon and Stephanie come out and just basically say how glad they are at the Royal Rumble result. That Roman Reigns couldn't do it. And then they introduce Triple H. And Vince McMahon was really going for the crowd. He's telling him to shut up and really trying to play the heel part. And so then they introduce Triple H as WWE World Heavyweight Champion, who comes out and says that he won the title because Roman Reigns lacks one thing basically, which is respect for others, and he's too arrogant, stuff like that. Which obviously is just. Triple H is a great heel in fairness to him, so and he's always been really good on the mic, so he was trying to sell that pretty well. And they were just saying that there's going to be a set of matches tonight between some superstars, and that they're going to evaluate every match, and at the end of the show they'll announce the main event for the Fastlane pay-per-view, which will be a number one contenders match for the WWE World Heavyweight Championship at WrestleMania against Triple H. So that was big news right there. Big way to start off the show. The promo took a long time, to be fair, but at least we got that statement, because sometimes for a match at a pay-per-view, you only get it a couple of weeks. It's only made a couple of weeks before the show, but to have a whole month's build-up of towards that main event is pretty good. So glad about that. So then we had the first match of the night, which was Kevin Owens versus Dolph Ziggler. I was pumped for this match. The crowd was pumped. Kevin Owens is just growing on me like it's unbelievable. He is literally becoming one of my favorite wrestlers. And sooner rather than later, whether it's towards the latter end of this year / 2017. I want and I see him as being WWE World Heavyweight Champion, because he's just so good at what he does. The crowd, they're into his matches, they're into his promos, they're just into everything Kevin Owens does, and he's just really good at grasping a crowd. And so the match with Dolph Ziggler was amazing. I'm a big Dolph Ziggler fan. I think given the right the right path to shine on, basically, I think he's a great in-ring athlete. Only a couple of years ago, he was one of the most popular guys in WWE. So it's just disappointing where they've gone with him. I said in my daily blog that I think he should be going into WrestleMania with a big match, Dolph Ziggler, and I think he should hold the US Championship going in. Because I think he could really bring some. I mean, if you guys remember the match he had last year with John Cena for the US Championship, where John Cena asked someone to come out, and Dolph Ziggler did. It literally looked like he was going to beat John Cena, and it was one of the best matches I've ever seen John Cena in. It was just incredible. So I think Dolph Ziggler has everything to be amazing. It's just a shame they're not pushing him the right way. But yeah, a great match with Kevin Owens. He hit a few super kicks and it looked like Dolph might get the win, but in the end, Kevin Owens with the pop-up powerbomb, getting the 1-2-3 and getting the win. Now that was big for him after the Royal Rumble pay-per-view that he had, because not regaining the Intercontinental title, then being eliminated by Sami Zayn. He needed a big win here. So that was a great win. Put himself in contention for potentially the main event at the end of the show. Then we had, this was probably the low point of the show for me. We had the Social Outcasts come out and basically Flow Rider, because obviously it was in Miami, Flow Rider was in the crowd, and him and Heath Slater have got like some previous, so Flow Rider came into the ring and had like a rap battle with Bo Dallas, and I've got to admit, like, Bo Dallas's was probably better, but they were both awful. And then obviously the Dudley Boys came out and defeated the Social Outcasts with Flow Rider at ringside. It was just a bit of an odd scene. It was meant to be funny. It didn't really come off that way. It was a much funnier scene that happened later on that I'll talk about. It just didn't come off funny. I don't think it came off well, and the Social Outcasts don't come off well either. They're just too dull to be on Monday Night Raw, I think. So I quite like Heath Slater. I think, again, he's never going to be great, but given the right path, he could do pretty well, I reckon. But yeah, it wasn't that great of a scene. But then the best moment of the show, in my honest opinion, was match of the night. And if this is leading towards a rivalry, which it certainly looked like it did after the match, which was the match between Y2J, Chris Jericho, and AJ Styles, it was the sickest match and best match I've seen in a long time. It was just two guys who, when you think of matches you want as a WWE and wrestling fan, when you look at matches you'd want between guys, I've always had about 4 or 5. There's the Sting versus Undertaker, John Cena versus Undertaker at WrestleMania. I've got a pretty fresh and new one, which is the Shield at potentially WrestleMania 32 for the WWE World Heavyweight Championship. Just have like a triple threat between all former Shield members, Roman Reigns, Dean Ambrose, Seth Rollins. I think that could be amazing. And this is probably one of them, AJ Styles versus Chris Jericho. And to have it on Monday Night Raw was amazing. The match was just great. Both guys' in-ring ability is just off the charts. So that was an amazing match. And I do like Chris Jericho, but I wanted AJ Styles to get that first win. I didn't want him to have a loss to start of his Raw and WWE career, basically. And indeed, that's what happened. He ended up picking up the win, getting the win over Chris Jericho with like a roll-up pin. Great win, great match. And at this point, Raw was looking real good, and it pretty much stayed that way. But after that, the crowd was just buzzing for it. So that was amazing. Then we had, which was the pretty funny scene after that, we had R-Truth and Goldust backstage. So Goldust was looking for R-Truth everywhere and went to his locker and saw R-Truth's iPhone or whatever and earphones. So he put the earphones on and he starts dancing to R-Truth's music, which you could probably imagine is like rap or something, which is pretty funny. And then R-Truth just turns up and scares the hell out of Goldust. So then Goldust is being a bit weird like he is, and basically asks if R-Truth wants to be his partner. But obviously R-Truth takes that the complete wrong way and says, "I'm sorry, mate, I don't swing that way," as if he's been, It was great. It was absolutely amazing. And then as R-Truth walked off and said, "I'll just let you be alone," Goldust was like, "No, I meant tag team partner." And he was like, "Why do I always put my foot in my mouth?" It was amazing. It was really funny. And obviously R-Truth had that moment at the Royal Rumble where he came out, picked up the ladder from underneath the ring and went up as if it was the championship was at the top of the ring. R-Truth's gimmick is amazing. It's just I'd like to see him do bits of that every week. It's just so funny. But that was a pretty funny scene. Maybe that's somewhere they'll go with a tag team potentially. R-Truth, Goldust. You never know. I mean, it'll be better than the Social Outcasts, put it that way. So yeah, I mean, again, it was a little moment just to be funny. But then we had my girl Sasha Banks. I love that woman. She's literally my dream woman. Love her. So it was Sasha Banks against Becky Lynch, who I also really like. I think those two are probably at the minute my two favourites, just because, you know, they're so good at what they do. Their in-ring chemistry is great. So they had a match, and then Charlotte came out. And basically Sasha Banks got the win by disqualification, and Charlotte basically attacked both the other divas, and just got the upper hand and left Sasha and Becky middle of the ring. They call her genetically superior. You know, like they keep saying that, you know, she's the genetic superior athlete or whatever. To me, she's the genetic superior idiot, and she's genetically annoying. I can't stand Charlotte. I just think this whole thing with her dad. She even, when she got the upper hand on both girls last night, the music that played was Ric Flair's. I mean, like, it's just so overboard and overdone, and she needs to do stuff for herself. Because when she left the ring and walked up the ramp, Ric Flair was just there, like, doing his silly walk again. It's just, I'm not a fan of that. I think Charlotte, you know, she won the championship without Ric Flair. You could easily turn heel without Ric Flair, but I actually think it was the right thing to do to bring Ric Flair into it. But you don't need him now. It's that simple. There's no need for Ric Flair now. It's just gone overboard and overdone. And I just think she should get back to being herself, her own music, her own gimmick. Because it's just pretty annoying now. But it looks like we're going to go in that direction of maybe a triple threat match towards WrestleMania between Charlotte, Sasha and Becky, which would be amazing. That'd be a great match because of obviously their previous in NXT between all three. So then we had Bray Wyatt defeat Kane. Kane just looks really awkward in the ring now at this stage in his career, and it's just not great to watch. But Bray Wyatt is, he's Bray Wyatt basically. He's just, obviously he didn't win the Royal Rumble, which I thought was a real possibility. But, especially since when the Wyatt family eliminated Brock Lesnar. But, yeah, Bray Wyatt just picking up the win there with help from the Wyatt family. And I suspect that he'll be going on a rivalry he'll be in a feud with Brock Lesnar sooner rather than later. So that'll be amazing to watch. Obviously Lesnar wasn't at the show, so we couldn't see any beginning of that yet last night. So then we had the best non-wrestling part of the show, which was The Rock. The Miz came out of the limo, because they'd said that there was a surprise superstar coming back to Raw. And they opened the limo door to find out who it was, and it was The Miz. And obviously the crowd was really disappointed by that. But then flying in his truck, coming through the limo was parked inside, and then the truck just came flying in next to the limo, and The Rock got out of it. It was amazing. So The Rock interrupts The Miz, goes over to Big Show, who's just there with a little laptop thing, and says how the Big Show should have won that Royal Rumble back in the day, and how Big Show could have had all his roles in his films, and then Big Show, you could see he was so disappointed because he knew that he could have had all that basically, and he was on the verge of crying and just smashed the laptop to pieces, which was amazing. And then he went up to the insanely beautiful Lana and was just saying, the last time they were with each other was with Rusev in Brooklyn that time, and what him and Lana got up to that night, and basically it was amazing. And then Rusev turned up and was just pissed. He was pissed. But yeah, The Rock had all that, and it was a long scene, but it was deserved because it's The Rock. And then he came to the arena, obviously, was talking to the fans, just cutting a great promo like he does. And then the New Day came out. The New Day came out and said he calls himself the People's Champ, but he's got no gold, and that how he was in the past or whatever, and it's all about the New Day basically. So then The Rock wants the New Day to come to the ring and basically kick their asses, but they start walking up the ramp, and he goes, and so The Rock says, well, I've got some family to help, and out come the Usos, just start fighting with the New Day on the ramp, and then they send Big E into the ring, who gets a rock bottom, which was amazing, and then Xavier Woods gets pushed into the ring with The Rock, and then the Usos behind him. So he turns around, gets double super kicked into a spine buster, and then The Rock hits the People's Elbow. Just an amazing scene. It was just great, unbelievable. And obviously we'll be probably seeing a lot more of The Rock now leading up to WrestleMania, which would be a big thing for Raw that they need. So that was a great scene right there. Then we had Natalya and Paige defeat Alicia Fox and Brie Bella. This was nowhere near as good as the first Divas match. And it was only like a couple minutes long. It was a bit of a nothing match, but Natalya and Paige obviously getting the win, so that was pretty cool. Then we had the US champion Kalisto defeat the Miz. So that maybe they might drift away from the Kalisto versus Alberto Del Rio. They'll go in a new direction now, which will be great and a big thing for Kalisto, because you don't want the rivalry with Del Rio dragging out way too long. Plus, I don't want him having another match with Del Rio in case they end up giving the belt back to Del Rio. So, because I don't want that. So Kalisto, as US champion, face off with the Miz. Actually, a really good match, because the Miz is pretty decent. So, but yeah, Kalisto just looks, really good in the ring, and as US champion, he is. I think he could be a great US champion if it's done right. So, but he ended up hitting the Salida del Sol on the Miz and picking up the win, which was great. But at that point, it was all about the main event. You wanted to get to the main event because of what the match was, and it was Roman Reigns and Dean Ambrose versus Sheamus and Rusev. So with Barrett and Del Rio at ringside. So the whole League of Nations came out, but it was Sheamus and Rusev versus Dean Ambrose and Roman Reigns. So it was actually a really good tag team match. It was, because you get there was a lot of main events last year that were like 6-man tags and just tag teams, and they just weren't it was just a lot of things thrown together, but this was a pretty decent match. Roman Reigns and Dean Ambrose dominated the early parts. League of Nations came back and dominated the mid part of the match, and then mostly on Dean Ambrose they were dominating, and then Dean Ambrose manages to get the tag to Roman Reigns near the end of the match, who takes care of Sheamus, takes care of Rusev, but then Barrett and Del Rio get rings, on the ropes basically, and distract Roman Reigns, who gets double super kicked by Rusev, and then turns back into a broad kick by Sheamus. And then obviously Sheamus goes for the pin. 1, 2. Ambrose manages to get in and save Reigns from the pin. So after that, Rusev comes in. Dean Ambrose, takes Rusev out, and then Sheamus went for another broad kick, but you know what happens next. Reigns hits the spear and gets the win. 1, 2, 3. So Reigns and Ambrose pick up the win. Really good to see. It just shows you the type of audience that are on a Raw compared to a SmackDown. At the Royal Rumble, when Roman Reigns came out or did something, you couldn't hear a cheer. It was just boos. And obviously on Monday Night Raw, it was basically all cheers when he came out and hit the spear and won. It was, obviously Miami's usually a hot crowd, and it's not just full of kids. There are some mature wrestling fans. But yeah, I just think they've still got a long way to go with getting him over, which it can easily be done. I keep saying the fans don't hate Roman Reigns. They hate the way he's portrayed because they're turning him into John Cena 2.0, and he's not John Cena because he's not John Cena on the mic, and he's not that type of guy. He's a much more badass type of guy. So they need to get it right, because if they do, he will be the guy, and when he is the guy with the crowd support, he'll be unstoppable. So hopefully they can manage to do that, because he can be great. And I also think, he's not great on the mic, but I think that's overblown, because the stuff they've had him say on the mic is gimmicky John Cena type things, and he can't pull that off. If they let him be him on the mic, it won't come across bad. This is what some fans just don't grasp, and I mean some older fans as well who, do have a lot of knowledge about the WWE. It's not all Roman Reigns on the mic. It's a lot of the gimmicky things they have him say, like the jokes about food to Sheamus, the tater tats and all that when that was happening. That's not him. That's gimmicky WWE trying to make him funny, and he's not that type of guy. So if they can get it right, he will be really liked by everyone. That's the thing. It's not impossible. So hopefully they can get that right. But so after the win, Roman Reigns and Dean Ambrose, they basically they powerbomb Rusev through the announcers table first because of what Rusev did to Reigns last night. So they Shields style powerbomb Rusev through the announcers table and then stand on the other announcers table. And this is where Stephanie McMahon comes out to the top ramp and announces the main event at Fastlane, which is a triple threat #1 contenders match for the WWE World Heavyweight Championship against Triple H between Dean Ambrose, Roman Reigns, and the guy everyone wants to see, the Beast, Brock Lesnar. So that's going to be one hell of a match at Fastlane. Obviously, I think I think I know who's going to win. I think it'll be Roman Reigns, obviously, because they're not going to go any other way. It'll be interesting though at Fastlane to see what happens in the match, because will the Wyatt family come out and cost Lesnar the match again? Will that happen? Or if not that, just will they distract Lesnar enough for Reigns to maybe pick up the win on Ambrose? Or would maybe the unthinkable happen where they distract Lesnar or beat up Lesnar and Reigns even pins Lesnar? You never know. So it's going to be a great match, that great main event. We'll see in the weeks leading up with Lesnar back on Raw what happens. But yeah, that's my Raw review. But a longer review than normal. I just wanted to talk more in depth about the show, and I'll be doing more in depth reviews from now on. So hope you guys enjoyed my Raw review, and I'll do a SmackDown. I didn't do a SmackDown one at the end of last week. I will this week. So hope you guys enjoy and look forward to that. So see you soon, guys. Bye.